Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, taxing hospitals. The Illinois Supreme Court's ruling last month against downstate Pravina Covenant Medical Center over its tax-exempt status has some Chicago area hospitals scrambling to keep theirs. More than 15 local hospitals are asking the Illinois Department of Revenue to grant fresh tax exemptions on at least part of their campuses. It's a critical issue and could affect the bottom lines at some of the city's most prominent hospitals. Earlier, I sat down with Crain's senior reporter, Mike Colias, to talk about it. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Sure.
So is this all fallout from the Pravina Supreme Court case? Are these requests that were in limbo finally getting some attention now? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, what happened was the Department of Revenue, which is in charge of going through the applications for tax exemption, basically pressed the pause button 4 years ago and just said, we're going to wait and see what happens with Pravina. So in the meantime, they had all these applications from hospitals, big applications, starting to stack up. And now that Pravina has been decided, they're going to start to go through these. And really what you're going to have is these hospitals that are waiting to see if they'll keep their tax exemptions are going to be the test case to find out, if anything's changed, how far-reaching this decision really was and how the state will now look upon hospital tax exemptions in light of the Pravina case.
Because the ruling didn't specify any level of charity care, right? So at issue here is how much charity care is enough.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's the one frustration I think a lot of people have on both sides of the issue is you still don't have a set, a defined bar in terms of what these hospitals should be doing for their tax exemptions. One of the numbers that people have focused on in the Pravina case was less than 1% of their total revenue went toward charity care. A lot of the hospitals that are lined up to get their tax exemptions now are higher than that, but are they high enough? Is it 2%? Is it 3%? Is it 5%? And that question's still unanswered.
So which hospitals are we talking about here?
Any hospital that has built something on their campus recently or been acquired by another change of ownership. So you've got Northwestern's Prentice Hospital, they're seeking exemption for that. There's the New Children's billion-dollar hospital in Streeterville right next door. Some in the suburbs, you've got Elmhurst Memorial as a close to $400 million facility out there, Sherman Hospital in Elgin. A few of the hospitals that have been acquired, like Advocate bought Condell up in Lake County. So all of those are coming in now asking for tax-exempt status.
And what are the legal experts saying will likely happen? Are these hospitals that you've named in a good position to retain their status, or do you think that they might lose it?
A lot of the attorneys I've talked to say they wouldn't be surprised if some of these did not keep their tax-exempt status, and I think that's because the Department of Revenue spent 8 years battling this Pravina case. I think that they feel like they were right, and so a lot of people think that they're going to be as aggressive, as they can be. Now that's certainly not the end of it, because straight from there's an administrative process you can go through to appeal, and then there's court. And Pravina was tied up in court for 8 years, so that could be where some of these are headed if some of these hospitals lose their tax exemptions.
This could be a long battle. Hospitals are notoriously powerful, and even Attorney General Lisa Madigan could be getting into the game, right?
Well, she hasn't said much about Pravina since it came down, but she's the attorney for the state. She litigated the case all the way through, and some people think that this could be the sort of leverage that the state needed to get the hospital industry back to the table and come up with some sort of legislative solution and have a law that actually says, okay, this is what you need to do if you want to be tax exempt.
Is that a likely outcome here?
I think you're probably likely to see it eventually, but I think people are going to kind of wait and see what the Department of Revenue does with all these applications in the meantime.
Okay, Mike. Well, it was a great story, and we look forward to seeing what happens. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lisa.
And that's all for this edition of Chicago Business Today. You can read Mike's story in this week's print edition of Crain's or on chicagobusiness.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter for all of your breaking news. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.